Episode 3. Let's do it. Kev, was good, brother?
Not much, just another week.
Yes, let's get right into it, man. We want to talk about player resources, right? Talk a little bit about really, honestly, no, let's just get started on talk about the resources you had as a basketball player coming up in New York. Maybe even give a little background of what your day-to-day was as a young Kevin Houston growing up in New York, who you were playing with, how you trained, how you got better, maybe even a little backstory to the path to the essentially the NBA, the professional level, and then we'll segue into the resources that are available now and how players could learn from this and say, hey, wow, he did it with minimal resources. I have all these resources available to me. What can I do to essentially evolve my game and take my game to the next level? Let's get into it.
Yeah, the resources I had. What resources, first of all? We didn't have, back in my day, we didn't have a lot of resources. We had to create a lot of our resources. A lot of times when you're growing up, I think you actually do better because you're almost in survival mode, right? You don't have a lot of resources, so you kind of got to make things up as you go. But our biggest resource, I think, when I grew up was our AAU coach, Tippy, who's still coaching nowadays in Brooklyn. He's helped so many countless people uh, reach the ultimate level. I believe the last time I checked on the website, he's putting through, between him and Ziggy, is putting through 190 kids through Division I colleges from the time that I was young to now. Even now, they're still doing the same thing. So our biggest resource was Tippy, because without Tippy, I don't think a lot of people wouldn't have made it. He had a gym much like mine's at the Brooklyn YMCA, that he opened his doors to all the players. Like, we can come work out whenever we wanted to. And when we came, he actually had all the training equipment and stuff like that. He would give anyone that came in a workout. Like, take for me, for instance, like I tell the kids here, I wasn't very good when I first started basketball. It was really, people like Tippy helping me out, understanding like, hey, this guy's got potential. So let me train him like he is one of the top guys. And that's, half of my background of why I'm so holding the kids accountable here is because of my background, how my AAU coach was with me. He influenced me a lot because no matter whether, you couldn't shoot, you couldn't dribble, you couldn't do anything, he was the guy that treated you like you're the star, like you were the best on the team. And I think without him doing that, a lot of kids wouldn't have made it. But again, he helped us learn how to work out. Like, he would take us through dribbling drills with the heavy ball. That's why I like the heavy ball nowadays, helping kids dribble. He, like, even now you don't see it a lot. He actually implemented like a big ball, which is normal, like twice the size or three times the size of regular ball is. Uh, he would have like shooting equipment there that we could have on, and really he was the first, I think, that did all that. Everyone else was more like instruction based. You do this, you do that, uh, go right, go left. And he was more of a guy that he would train you, but would have all these tools for you to help you get better.
Well, beyond, I think it's worth clarifying. What do we mean essentially by player resources? So clearly, you mentioned your previous coach, Tippy, pause, on how he, was able to provide an open gym for you, how he was
Hold
able
on,
to
hold on.
you.
His name is Tom McTurnan, but we call him Tippy. That's his
Yeah,
nickname.
big,
So Tom,
big,
Tom McTurnan is his real name, and he was a Wall Street guy. He was on Wall Street for I believe like 20 years, and he was helping us out as well. But I just wanted to clarify what his real name is.
yeah, because that was a big pause. That was a big pause. But it's worth clarifying for the listeners, what exactly do you mean by resource? I know you talked about a coach, your coach that meant a lot to you, whether it be skill development, simply just having a gym available for you to train in. What other resources did you have, or are you just saying that's the only thing that was readily available to you? What are some of the resources that you're able to translate to the listeners so they can understand, yeah, beyond my coach, I also had X, Y, and Z. And then we could transition into the resources that are present today.
Like, yeah, I think our resources was the coaches around us piece, like because we didn't have a lot. Like, I guess you would say another resource could be like the park that we would play in. Like each of us had something where we walk out of our apartment building and there was a court. That was our biggest resource, right? Other than that, it was all self-made. Like you had to go on the court, you had to do the drills, you had to make up what you need to work on. No one back then it was going to tell you what to do. It was more self-serving than anything.
How would you compare the resources you had then to what's available now? I mean, now there's trainers everywhere, there's clubs everywhere, there's YouTube, there's TikTok, all these things that are now available to provide as a resource for players to get better. How would you compare what's available now to what you had? And can you say one is better than the other? I know you had like a line earlier where you mentioned that you almost felt as if it worked to your benefit having limited resources. Expand on that.
Uh, it's a huge difference. It's really night and day. I believe back in the day we had people are going to laugh, but we had DVDs. They had DVDs. Like they would sell DVDs online. So if you wanted to do something, you had to actually go online, go to whatever trainer that was selling this DVD, and you'd have to purchase a DVD. Then you would have to wait 2 weeks. You'd have to wait 2 weeks for their DVD to come. Then you have to watch it. You have to watch it at home because there's no portable stuff. You can't take this stuff to the gym and then pause it and stuff. So you have to watch this at home, write notes at home, like what you saw on the DVD. And then when you're in a gym, you got to execute it. No longer is it like that because everything's on the phone, right? So a lot of times I feel like there's too much resources nowadays because you have every trainer that's online, whether it's digital stuff, online training, online courses. Uh, you got all social media platforms they're on. Uh, so, and you got all these tools now. You got all these tools that people are using that the kids have, I think, an unlimited resource, right? They have unlimited. They have access to gyms. They have access to like unlimited trainers, which I just told you, it was not a lot of trainers back in the day when I grew up. It wasn't even heard of you go to a trainer. It wasn't heard of like, okay, I'm going to go get this trainer and work under him for 2, 3 years and develop my skills. It was unheard of that someone did that. It was more or less like your AAU coach that knew so much about basketball. He was the guy that was training you, and he would do a workout for a group workout. It wasn't a lot of individual workouts like there is now.
Can you speak to what you've noticed with AAU clubs in terms of how they point their players in the right directions when it comes to providing the resources? A lot of AAU teams, high school coaches as well. So, oh, train here, go there, play for him, do these drills. Do you have an opinion on what you've been seeing in essentially the AAU realm or the high school realm, if you can speak to that?
Yes. In the AAU realm, it's hard to say. It's hard to say because there's so many guys that either on their website or if you talk to them, they're all about development. But when you either hear someone talk about their program that you trust or you see them how their kids are in games because we get to go play against other teams, so we get to see how other teams play. You can gauge by watching them play. Uh, are they being trained the right way? So me looking at that, I know, and there. I don't want to say that people are not. There are AAU programs that are right, and some of them are my friends that are doing it the right way. But I would say the majority is not doing it the right way. It's what you said a few episodes ago, which is cash in, cash out. I'm going to have this kid in, and you know, I'm not going to develop this kid. I'm just going to give him a bunch of games, okay, and call it development because that's what parents want to hear. Parents want to hear that you're developing their kid, but in actuality, you're really not. because if you're not having, to me, if you're not having extra skill sessions, if you're not having extra things for the kids and all you're doing is just a plain AAU, how are you developing off of 1 day a week? You're not. Okay. How are you developing off of 2 days a week? If you're a true developer, you're giving these kids a lot more. You're there. And what I mean by a lot more is they should be practicing more than they should be playing. Because if it's the opposite way around and you're playing more than you're training, then that's not development to me.
And put yourself under the fire. What could you be doing better to help develop the kids in your program? What have you done in the beginning when you first got started in AAU? What have you learned through that process and developing players through the generations of kids and to now what you have set up currently?
Yeah, I've transformed my program. In the beginning, and I'm very open about this. In the beginning, I had 18 teams. I had almost close to 20 teams, 18, 20 teams, which you were a part of, right? Um, and I really didn't know what I was doing because having that many teams, it's like, how do you start with what I think I had like 150 kids, 160 kids. So how do you try to get as a program whole, how to get everyone on a schedule? And I think in the early days of me starting and me like kind of figuring out like how to handle big groups, how to make sure that everyone in the program is getting something out of it. I think that takes experience. That takes experience of messing up, right? You're not going to be perfect doing anything. And this is what I explain to the kids when we have practice is, you're going to mess up. You're not going to do things right. But you have to understand, like, that's how you get better. You get better by failing. Okay. When you fail, you understand why you fail, and then you bounce back. And that's with me. I understood why I failed. I failed because I didn't have it as structured as it needed to be. I thought I was structured, but it wasn't as structured as it needed to be. So as the years evolved, okay, and I seen more athlete because, to be frank, when I first started, I didn't train a lot of kids from this area. I trained mostly kids from my area, which is Brooklyn, New York, Bronx, like all those areas, because that's where I was from. So when I came up here and start training the kids up here, it takes a while because it's a different kind of player. It's not the same, right? It's not the same background. It's not the same. So you got to get used to, like, okay, what does this area bring to the table that they're missing, right? Which is creativity. You go in the area that I'm from, it's a whole bunch of creative people. They may not be structured, but they're very creative, right? So I had to come up here and have a structured plan in order to get the certain level of skills here. I had to have a structured plan. And as the years went along, that's what I did. I started to dissect every skill level and say, okay, what are the basic drills that we need to do that if they did these basic drills, they can implement into their gameplay. And then once they implement it to their gameplay, they can be successful. Because I didn't want to give them something that which you give them and it's not in their wheelhouse. It's not something that they're used to doing and they're never going to be able to do. You give people what they're capable of doing, and then you master that. And that's what we've done here. We've mastered the basics. Okay. I've drilled the kids in this area about the basics. The basics transcends every level. It transcends high school, it transcends college, it transcends professional ranks. And the more that you can drill yourself on the basics, then the better. So having resources here, okay, I have training tools. I have my own personal training tools that I will be coming out with, by the way. It's just taking me a long time of getting everything set up the way I want. But I've implemented those same training tools with the kids for at least 2 years now. I've had these training tools for 2 years, and I know it works because I've had it with the kids. The kids love it. Okay, so that's one of the resources that I use, knowing that my knowledge and my 20 years in basketball, I've created these tools. So these kids, it shortens down the time that they're learning. Okay, instead of me telling them what to do, now they wear one of my shooting devices, and now it's easy for them to understand. Okay, I also give them, you look at all the skill sessions that I give them. Throughout the year, we have a yearly program where the kids do the yearly program, which it's just skill, 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 and they train more than they play, right? And the kids that are really serious about it are usually the kids that are of high skill level in this area, and usually are the kids that are your best high school players. So I give them a ton of resources between skills, between giving them training tools, working with them in group sessions and one-on-one sessions. And it's always something here in the building that it's available. Like yesterday, we had open gym. We had open gym for 3 hours. And this week, majority of our teams AAU wise, okay, not with the basketball factory, but the majority of teams AAU wise will have went through 4 or 5 practices before this weekend's tournament. That's unheard of in AAU. That doesn't happen in AAU. AAU is like 1 practice, maybe 2 practice, and then they have a game. Our kids here will have 4 or 5 practices before they play the game this Saturday and Sunday. So I think now, like maybe 4 or 5 years, I think we've got it right. For the last 4 or 5 years, I think we got it right. The structure's right. But to me, it's still not enough. I had a parents meeting and we talked about this. I still think we need to up our skill level. We need to up our skill classes. So that's one thing that I can do better, that I told the parents in the parents meeting that I will get better at. We need to have more skill sessions, because the more skill sessions we have, the better the kids understand what we want, because not initially they understand like why we're teaching them a certain skill. And the more repetitions they have, the more that I trust kids that they'll figure it out. Kids are smart enough that I think once you give them a lot, they will be able to take that and be able to get better at that. Because I truly think it's in the players' hands. I think if the players want to get better, they will get better. But something has to be in place for them to get better. So I trust the kids that if something's available and they really want it, they can do it. They've proven it in my program over and over again that they can do it.
So, I mean, do you think, being that earlier you mentioned that you coach people from the inner city versus this more so, I guess, rural area, do you think it makes a difference in terms of player development in the long term, whether someone doesn't have a lot of resources versus when they do have a lot of resources? Is there a fine balance in between making sure, if possible, for certain kids to have certain things that are necessary to help almost expedite their progress versus kids who may not have the, let's say, financial resources to pay for certain opportunities?
Yes, I truly think it makes or break a kid, whether he has resources or he doesn't have resources. Now, we live in a different time. So when I was growing up, we had to figure it out. We're in an era where it was like a figure it out era or fail, right? We're not in that era anymore. We have so much stuff nowadays that you can't just tell a kid figure it out. So for me, I think seeing the kids that don't have the resources, and we see them a lot, especially when we play in these big time tournaments, especially with the girls and the guys over the last 3-4 years. And then some of these local tournaments, we get to see a lot of talented kids for other teams. And you can just see it. You can see and say, hey, if this kid had a certain amount of resources, or have a certain someone teaching him how to do certain things and when to do it, he could be outstanding, or she could be outstanding. I think that the difference between being good and great are your resources, are the people you surround yourself with. If you're able to surround yourself with smart people that understand the game, that understand that, okay, no, you don't do all these fancy moves. You got to start with the basics. And I know with kids, it's hard for kids to understand, like, okay, because they see all this cool stuff online that they want to do. But it really comes down to, how is your fundamentals? How is your basic skill level? Are you mastering your basic skill level? Because if you are, you can do a lot of great things in this game. And to me, that comes down to the people that are coaching you and the resources that you have and the gym availability, right? If you don't have the gym to go in the gym and do all these things, then how are you going to get better? It's cold outside. Again, it's not like when we grew up, our parents like, go outside, figure it out. I don't care if it's freezing. Like nowadays, kids don't want to go outside and do that. So you need gym time. You need gym time to go in the gym and be able to work on these skills so that you can get better and you need a knowledgeable person who has those type of resources to give you. And if you're not under that, then I'm not saying you're not going to succeed, because I succeeded. You better have a strong will to make it. It's either one or the other. You ever had a strong will to make it, or you better be under someone that has the resources that can provide you with things to make sure that you can be able to get to the level that you want to get to. But that's another thing. I mean, the other thing I want to touch up on is there's not a lot of things. We talk about resources. There's not a lot of things for kids that are their skill level is not up to par to the elite athlete, right? And that's what I don't like about social media. I don't like about social media. I don't like seeing everything's catered to the elite athlete. Everything, piece. The elite high school player, the elite pro, the elite, every drill you see someone do online, everything you see on social media, they talk about elite, 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 elite. That's not the majority of the United States. The majority of the United States, it's either their skill level is low or at a medium level. At least 98%, 98%. You're talking to 2% of the population that is elite. Everyone else should be able to do your fundamental basketball, because to me, if 98% is either below or average, that's what they should be concentrating on, because that's how they can succeed.
Yeah, you're not lying, man. I think it's a good way to end it. It's a good way to end it. Leave it on the mark where I like how you said those who don't have the resources, like you said, let's hope that unfortunately or fortunately, right, you have the will to persevere through your circumstance, right, and find the right avenues and people, mentors. For you, it was your coach that could, excel you to the next level. And for those who are fortunate to have the resources, right, family, gym, tools, take advantage of it. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you're aware of the opportunities you have, take advantage of it, and see where this thing can take you. Kev, any last words, man? Any last words as we close it up?
The only last words I would say is, I know a lot of things look like it's hard, kids. It's really not. It's really about being on a routine, being on a schedule, and understanding that, okay, you're going to have good days and you're going to have bad days. I just want kids to understand that you can make it. Whatever your goals are, whatever you can do, just be under someone that has that kind of same level of wanting you to reach that certain level. If you're under a guy that is helping you and making sure that is holding you accountable, go under that guy, because you're more likely to accomplish your goals. And just my last message to kids, like, you can do it. You just have to be able to understand that I need to put together a routine. If I'm able to put together a routine, I think, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, that's it. That's the pod.